For over 100 years, the global auto industry has been this titan of stability, right? A symbol of industrial power. But what if I told you that entire century-old foundation is starting to crack? We're about to dive into one of the most profound transformations any industry has ever faced.
And look, this isn't some wild prediction for the distant future. This is a direct quote, a pretty stark warning from Volkswagen, one of the biggest car makers on the planet. And they said it this year. This really sets the stage for what's coming, a period of massive and, probably painful disruption.
I mean, think about it. The era of the good old internal combustion engine, it created a really predictable world. You knew who the major players were, the tech was pretty mature, the markets were clear. Well, that world, it's gone. We've walked right into a new age of uncertainty, intense rivalry, and just revolutionary change. So what is causing all this chaos? Well, it's not just one thing. That's the key. The industry is getting hit from multiple angles all at once. It's less like a single storm and more like a war being fought on three separate fronts, all at the same time. So that's exactly how we're going to break this down. We'll look at this complex battle through those three key fronts. First, a revolution in technology. Second, a massive shift in global markets. And third, a totally unprecedented level of government intervention. All right, let's jump into our first front, technology. And honestly, this is probably the most fundamental shift of them all. Because it's not just about making cars, a little faster or a bit more efficient. No, this is a complete reinvention of what a car is and how it works, literally from the ground up. At the heart of this whole tech revolution is this one little acronym, CASE. It stands for Connected, Autonomous, Shared, and Electric. And the important thing to remember is that these aren't four separate trends. They're all interlocking forces that are completely reshaping the modern car as we know it. And this chart, wow, it just perfectly illustrates how fundamental this change really is. We're literally moving away from this complex, greasy, mechanical system of engines and transmissions and fuel tanks to a digital electric platform that's all built around a battery pack and an electric motor. And that changes everything, from how you build the car to how you fix it. And the speed of this change, it is absolutely staggering. Take a look at this number, 10.2 million. That's how many electric cars were sold worldwide in 2022. Now get this, just a decade earlier, back in 2012, that number was only about 100,000. That's not double, that's not triple, that is a 100-fold increase in just 10 years. Insane. Okay, but this whole tech revolution, it isn't happening in a vacuum, right? So let's move to our second front, because this is where we see how it all connects to a huge shift in the market. It's not just about what kind of cars are being sold, it's about where they're being made and bought. The entire map of the auto world is basically being redrawn before our eyes. See, for most of the last century, the car universe had a really clear center of gravity. We called it the triad: the United States, Western Europe, and Japan. Simple. These guys set the trends, they dominated production, they controlled the technology, they were the entire game. But now, look at this chart. This visualizes the tectonic shift I'm talking about. You can see the triad's share of global car production, which used to be, almost everything, has shrunk dramatically. And in its place, China and other emerging markets have just surged forward to become the new powerhouse of production. And this isn't just a line on a chart, right? This has real, profound consequences. It means product strategies, engineering centers, entire supply chains. They're all being completely reoriented toward these new markets. So here's the crucial point. This massive market shift has basically kicked the door wide open for brand new competitors. We're talking about companies from China like BYD and Geely. These aren't just local players anymore. They're using this huge transition to electric vehicles as a golden opportunity to challenge the 100-year dominance of the old guard, the Western and Japanese brands. Okay, which brings us to our third and final front, the totally unprecedented role of governments. I mean, for decades, governments were mostly just the referees, right? Blowing the whistle here and there. Now, they've jumped right onto the field and are actively trying to steer the game themselves.
We've entered a whole new age of what they call industrial policy. Basically, nations are using everything they've got, subsidies, regulations, tariffs, as competitive weapons. They're playing offense, trying to protect their home industries, and grab a leading position in this new electric, digital future of the car.
And just look at how fast this all escalated. Take 1 year, 2022.
The European Union says we're banning new gas car sales by 2035. Then California follows suit, same deadline. And then the U.S. unleashes the Inflation Reduction Act, this massive subsidy program to bring EV manufacturing back home. It's become a global policy arms race.
So there you have it, the three fronts: a tech revolution, a market upheaval, and a government-fueled policy race. And when these powerful forces all converge like this, they don't just add up, they multiply. What you get is this once-in-a-century scramble to define the entire future of how we get around.
It really is a perfect storm. You've got the tech revolution, moving from combustion to electric. You've got the market power shifting from west to east. And on top of it all, you have governments pouring fuel on the fire with these super aggressive policies. Each one of these fronts just reinforces the others, and it just accelerates the whole disruption.
But let's be really clear here, this race is far from over. This transition is not easy. EVs are still way too expensive for a lot of people in Europe and the US, and that dream of a fully autonomous car that just drives you anywhere, well, that's probably still decades away. The road ahead is absolutely filled with obstacles.
And so that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? In this massive three-front war for the future of the car, who's actually going to come out on top? Will it be the legacy giants from the old triad or the hungry new challengers from the East? The only thing we know for sure is that the car and the industry that builds it will never, ever be the same again.